Even though I am not a digital native, I am a digital immigrant. As I think back onto the technologies that I grew up with, I consider how my digital immigrant experience influences what I know today and how I will incorporate technology into educational settings in the future. My exposure to media was slower and more measured than it would be in today's round-the-clock, always-on media world. My mother read to me tons of picture books. 8-track tapes allowed us to play music when we wanted it, one album at a time. The first movie I saw was Star Wars in the movie theater. The special effects were done with models and movie magic, not computers. And on television, Fred Rogers explained to me about my feelings and how the world worked in a straightforward, simple, and kind manner. What are the trade-offs with today's media? We have media right at our fingertips and much faster to get. You don't have to wait for the movie to come out in the theaters, and you don't have to go down to Tower Records to get your music. Actually, you can't go down to Tower Records because there is no Tower Records anymore. And I can download the latest picture book for my child to swipe through or even have a computer voice read it to him. Media is more customizable. I can download just one song that I like from an album. I can stream an entire season of a TV show or the whole canon of the Star Wars movies while turning on the captions if I'm watching the movie with a friend that is deaf. And I can do all of this from my laptop or mobile device sitting in my living room. But let's talk about trade-offs.
Take a spin, now you're in with the techno set. You're going surfing on the internet.
Okay guys, the first thing that you need to know is that the internet is amazing and it's
Unlike what this cheery video represents, access is a trade-off. In order to access streamed content, I have to have a smart device or computer, and I also have to have access to the internet. Both of these things can be costly and exclusive to people that cannot afford them and live in areas where the service is not robust. Also, in an article called The Downside of Digital Inclusion, the author describes the interaction between low digital literacy and behaviors that heighten the potential for harm. Educators need to keep this in mind as they develop curricula that incorporate technology. Not everyone may have the same amount of access and literacy. Schools will need to be a place of economic and social equity where students can have equal access to education and technology. When I was growing up, gaming on a device was pretty much limited to your television or computer console. My dad loved games, so we had both Atari's Pong and Breakout right when they came out. I remember being really excited about them at first, and then quickly being really bored. For the 1970s, these games were groundbreaking. What I did learn from gaming back in the day was that I wanted more action, and I wanted to use my brain when I was playing, as well as I needed more to be at stake in my games. Pong and Breakout didn't have much on the line, and I lost interest pretty quickly. Games today have come a long way artistically and emotionally. The stakes have definitely increased. As Guy in 2005 noted, game designers can make worlds where people can have meaningful new experiences that their places in life would never allow them to have, or even experiences no human being has ever had before. These experiences have the potential to make people smarter and more thoughtful. Learning can happen organically with games because the learner is engaged in an environment around them, using resources, setting off on missions, completing tasks, or just exploring a world. If the game is multiplayer, the learner then has the opportunity to learn from peers. Howlett in 2017 said, "Playing on multiplayer servers is not only about building buildings, but also about building histories. There can be layers of learning happening, social, collaborative, as learners play together." As I moved into the 80s, I made my own content, through videotapes and mixtapes. The process of making a good mixtape involves lining up the songs just right so the music won't have large gaps of silence. It was all about timing and mastery of tools. With videos, you had to remember to forward the tape to the end of your recording if you went back to review any footage, or you would end up taping over what you had just recorded. All of these lessons were hard-won and helped me to be more mindful and precise as I moved into the technology of the 21st century. Videos and music are now digital. Editing software is much more forgiving, and you can usually get back a section of video that you trimmed. You can do a quick search and find the perfect song to overlay on your content, and you can even caption your own videos so everyone has access. Digital natives have been raised manipulating content from a very early age, but there are also some trade-offs. As Slada and Najafi state, there are design challenges with access, privacy, and security in a classroom. And how does an educator now reorganize their instruction around social cooperative principles, including user-contributed content? This will indeed be a challenge for education moving forward if we are to rethink the educational system and adapt it to be more reflective of what is happening in society today. Learning in the 1970s was about being well-behaved, regurgitating what you had learned, and making sure that you passed the test. Teachers were disciplinarians, the rule makers, and they held the information and power. In the article Between Structure and Improvisation, the authors state that society needs to rethink education starting with the basic interaction between teacher and the learners. The authors state, good teaching involves collective improvisation with the students, with the learners. It goes on to describe teachers as designers of learning. This is a much more creative look at teaching than in the past. In the classroom of today, Collins and Halverson say that computers have not penetrated the core of schools, even though they have come to dominate the way that people in the outside world read, write, calculate, and think. We are in the information revolution, or knowledge revolution, and it is fueled by new media technologies. Slada and Najafi say that educators are coming to understand the value of having students work collectively on a problem, building a shared knowledge base, or networking with peers according to specific interests. Some great tools for students today to deepen their collaborative understanding and sharpen their 21st century skills are online sticky notes. To share their findings with classmates in digital spaces and collectively create objects to think with, like mind maps. Schools will need to address new technology-based literacies with their students. I'll rephrase that. Schools will need to catch up with the tech literacies that their students already have and start to find where there are learning gaps. Kavanaugh, Giappani, and Golden say that students may be gaining valuable digital skills, but may not be gaining what they need for deep processing skills and critical thinking. Alper and Goguen state, there has been a growing sense of the need to carefully consider and weigh real issues of vulnerability, support, and safety against the long overdue rights of children that might flourish with digital cultures and technologies. This statement specifically includes students of all abilities. Designers will need to take into consideration how to remove barriers so that technology can be truly adaptive for all, and how to balance critical thinking skills in a digital age.